What's up, everybody? I'm Wayward Jessica, and this is Not Your Safe Zone. We are running a little late today, but that's okay because we got some good shit for y'all today. We are doing a one-on-one with the CEO of Not a Safe Space for racists, Mr. Jolly Good Ginger. And we're going to get into it all the way from the damaging patriarchy to the to this racist world, this racist place that we call America with 3Ks. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop the intro and then we're going to get into it.
Why didn't you listen to me?
You know I'm coming for your plate, dog. You shoulda knew you wasn't safe, dog. You know I'm coming for your plate, dog. You shoulda knew you wasn't safe, dog.
All right. So let's see if my FBI agent Kevin is gonna let us have this conversation without any technical difficulties. Kevin, I'm telling you, stop being a dick. So let's get to know the man who challenges racism every day. Um, Here is Mr. Jolly Good Ginger. How you doing, sir?
Hey, what's up?
How you doing tonight?
I am tired but excited, and I always got energy.
Yes, yes, let's do it.
Thanks for having me here, by the way.
Anytime, anytime. So let's start off with I saw you in DC. You want to tell the people what we were doing in DC?
58th anniversary of Martin Luther King's March on Washington, and 50 years later, we were marching for damn near the same thing they were marching for the first time. It was a march for voters' rights. Voter rights, as we know, are under attack in America. More specifically, black voters, brown voters, marginalized citizens. And so, marching to bring awareness to that, simultaneously marching for Black Lives Matter. We had families there, the victims of police brutality who's lost their family members or had their family members injured by the police. So it was a really powerful movement. I was glad to be there. I was really humble to all the people I ran across you. I really appreciate you coming up and saying hi. So yeah, it was a great event.
Absolutely. And I just want to say, you were with another TikToker,
Mm-hmm.
U.S. Army Overlord. I just want to say, sir, it was not fair that you was hiding behind your mask and didn't say hi.
Right.
I know
So
who he
Yeah,
was. I saw them eyes. He was hiding them eyes. You can't mistake him. You know what I'm saying?
his wife told him if she saw a picture or a video of him without that mask on, then he wasn't allowed to come back home. So he never took it
ooh, ooh,
off.
you definitely don't want to be in a doghouse with a wife. I
No,
understand. I understand.
they're taking the pandemic serious as they should. Um,
Definitely,
uh,
definitely.
I felt like when I was outside and in pretty good distance from people, and I'm fully vaccinated, I was lax on my mask a little bit. When we was marching, we was in crowds or we was next, but yeah, I slid it on. But but yeah, you gotta take the pandemic serious, and not enough people do that.
Absolutely. I mean, this shit could be over with already if people would take it seriously.
Facts, big facts. Yep, that's
Um, so you are very big on teaching the melanin deficient
mm-hmm,
um how to be anti-racist.
mm-hmm.
You are very big on being an accomplice to our community, to all communities, as far as I've seen. Um, so I would like to ask you as an icebreaker,
Sure.
name three activists that you would love to sit down and have dinner with.
Well, some of them probably
Dead or alive, it don't matter. It don't
that's what I
matter.
was gonna say. Some of them aren't here anymore. But I think one of the most powerful orators that really spoke to me when I first started really studying racism was Malcolm X, El Haj Malik El Shabazz, as he was later known as. I really like listening to him speak. I really like how unapologetic he was in his speech. He spoke to me on different levels. I remember I was probably 14 or 15, and I was listening to an interview. Um, that it was on TV. There was a guy interviewing Malcolm X, and he asked him. He said, "Hey, what's your last name? It's not X. What's your real?" And Malcolm said, "I don't know my last name. My last name was given to my great grandfather by the slave master. It was his family name, not mine." And the guy kept pressing him, and it was a little annoying. But Malcolm stood his ground and said, "Look, I don't know my last name." And the reason that stood out to me, that was honestly a groundbreaking moment for me, dead serious. And I'm gonna tell you why. When I was growing up in the mountains of North Carolina, Southern tradition's a big deal. I was raised on Southern tradition, Southern pride, that kind of shit. And one real important aspect of being Southern is upholding your family name, right? That's a big deal. You got to uphold your family name. And so, I mean, that was a big way of life for me. Is always make your family proud, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So when I hear another man say, "I don't have a family name," it was something I had never imagined could be real before. And it really, I really started to realize I'm in this protective bubble of white privilege, and I don't actually see this whole other America that's out there. And that was really a big deal for me. So I'd love to see on Malcolm. Obviously, I'd love to see on Dr. King. Dr. King, a great orator. I'm really big on orators. Current activist, Killer Mike. I love Killer Mike. I love every time he speaks. Wow. I mean, the way he says it. Dr. Cornell, another one. I mean, I can make you a whole list.
Look, for me, it would definitely have to be Malcolm X. And funny story about that. Funny story. So I was in middle school and we had to do book reports on civil rights activists for English class. Mine was Malcolm X, and I got suspended because
Really?
I was romanticizing a domestic terrorist.
Well, that's how he's been painted, right?
Exactly.
That's how the whitewashing of history has described Malcolm and the Black Panthers. Black Panthers were made out to be a terrorist organization, and the KKK was invited to the White House. This is the history of America. This is the groundwork. The fruits of the tree can always be traced back to the roots of the tree.
I mean, look at today. The KKK is in the White House. Madison Cawthorn.
Because it hasn't been. Listen, everything that we're dealing with now is because we've compromised with white supremacy before. So until we take seriously the fight against white supremacy, which is what I like, which is what I, want to do, is confront white supremacy head on. But I like to confront white supremacy in a way that it hasn't been done before. And let me explain. Well, I shouldn't say hasn't been done before, because Miss Jane Elliott has done a lot of the things that I was in my mind envisioned I would do as I got older. And that is confront white people from a white standpoint. You understand? I understand what happens in white households. I understand what happens behind closed doors. I understand the nuances of white America. I was raised by racists, taught to be racist, and then people tell me that racism doesn't exist. Well, where the hell did everybody go? Because I still know them. I can still name them. I can still point them out. I can still close the door. I can still close the door and listen to them, spew racism. Listen to me. White America to date has not joined the fight against racism. Even the white people who are quote unquote woke, a vast majority of them, they accept that there's racism. That's a big first step. Okay, great. And then they come to the table and they do one of three things. They do one of three things when they get to the table. Number one, They try to colonize the table.
Say that again.
I know I'm late to the movement, but now let me tell y'all how to move. All right?
Exactly.
Now, if they don't do that, the other thing they try to do is tone police. Oh, well, listen. I'm not racist. I'm an ally. I'm an ally. But nobody's going to listen to you if you're saying it so mean like. And then the third thing they try to do, and this is the one that pisses me off the most, quite frankly, is they say to black people, okay, I've accepted that there's racism and I'm at the table. Now, how do we solve it? What? Motherfucker, black people didn't create racism. Black people didn't exercise racism.
And you know what?
So now we're asking them how to fucking solve it. No, shut the fuck up and be part of the solution. That's my problem.
I gotta tell you a story. So we were in DC for this march, right? And right away, this white lady has a megaphone.
Oh God.
Yes, I'm gonna talk about. Oh man. She starts screaming, of course she starts screaming, Black lives matter, black men matter, black children matter, black women matter. But I got on a microphone and I started speaking and she tried drowning me out. That's not even it. Hold on. Yeah, so then we get to the point of the march where I saw you at, right? And this woman comes up to us 4 black people.
Oh my God.
And says, I've been doing this for 30 years. This is my 80th protest. It's
80th March.
Turn now.
80th March. It was the 80th
March. Sorry. It's your turn now. Bitch.
What's that mean? Like, what's that? This is what I mean.
I literally was like,
that mean?
I'm walking away.
Right, because what does that mean? Here's what that means. What that means is in 80 motherfucking protests, which, by the way, I did 80 protests last year, so she needs to step her numbers up. But in 80 protests, you've learned nothing. In 80 protests, this lady showed up for her damn self. In 80 protests, this lady showed up to be seen. This lady showed up to be heard. She didn't show up to look and listen. She showed up to be seen and be heard.
Exactly.
You see, there's 2 different ways to show up. This is what I've been saying for a long time. White people, there's so many white people, I mean a fucking lot of them, are simply looking to be not racist. That's what they want. This title of ally, I fucking hate it. I've hated it since the fucking day I first heard it. I don't know if you've seen the poem. I did a slam poetry.
Yes, I did.
Right. I said, I don't got BLM in my bio. I'm not an ally. Fuck your titles. And here was my reason for saying that. People put BLM in your title as performative activism. That's called slacktivism. You didn't do shit.
Yes.
And people say the word ally because they wear it the same way people wear that I voted sticker, right? Hey, I voted. Right. The reason people wear the title ally is because in white people's minds, it says not racist. Anybody who says they're not racist just simply means you don't understand what the fuck a racist is. How the fuck are you not a racist when you don't even know what the fuck a racist is? You see, in white America, racism is a light switch, okay? If you're racist, the switch is on. If you're not racist, the switch is off. That's white America's viewpoint. Okay, so we're all born with the switch on. Then you get a black friend. Switch off. We're all born with the switch on. Then I got a mixed child. Switch off. This is how white America simplistically looks at racism, because white America thinks that racism is a guy riding down the street on a horse with a sheet on his head, yelling the N-word, and hates every black person. So if I was to ever speak to a black person, light switch off, I'm not a racist anymore. When in reality, racism is a spectrum. That's what it is, as we all know. It's a spectrum.
It's more like a dimmer switch. It's not a light switch. It's a dimmer switch.
That's a good one. It's a good analogy. It's a spectrum, right? It's so you got to figure out where you are on that spectrum, and it's not a destination. There's no time where you're going to be walking by, whoo, I made it. I'm not racist anymore, because that's not the goal. White people make the goal about themselves. The goal is not to be not racist. The goal is to defeat white supremacy. The goal is not to be not racist. The goal is equality and equity. Okay? The goal white privilege, understand it, and then make sure everybody else has it. So the problem is white people show up like that lady just to say, hey, whew, I'm not racist.
I was here. I did my job.
Right. So she shows up to be seen and heard. She don't show up to listen and look. You know, it's pathetic. And that's what I do. That's what I make my whole. I'm glad you told that story, because that's literally what I've made my entire movement about. Is talking to white people, making white people uncomfortable, challenging their bullshit, calling them out on their bullshit. I mean, there's people who follow me on my page. You know, I had 900,000 plus subscribers on TikTok before I got banned. And on Instagram, I think I got like 120 or something thousand. But even, you know, people think that I do this shit for follows. I don't give a fuck. You can all unfollow me. I'm going to do what I do because I believe in it. And so, sometimes I'll get people in my comments, white people, who are out of pocket. And that's how I feel like. And so I'll check them. Hey, stop talking for black people. Hey, stop talking over black people. I had a lady in my comment section the other day come to me and say, hey, why you got this video up? Black content creators have said, let's not post videos like this. So I said to her, listen, you're not black or a black content creator, but here you are speaking for them. You got a lot more to learn than you realize. Okay. This is a problem. White people want to speak for Black America. Don't speak for Black America. Don't speak at Black America. Don't speak over Black America. Speak to white people.
I'm sorry. Somebody in the back is fucking asleep. They didn't hear that. Can you say that one more time? One more time.
About not speaking over?
Say it one more time, please.
Don't speak for Black America. Don't speak over Black America. And don't speak at Black America. Speak to and at white America. That's your job, white America, right? White people got to know their lane in this fight. White people, like I said, this is what I said. They show up to the table and they think that their lane in this fight is whatever. But no, it's not.
Right.
It's your lane's now to be part of the solution, to help come up. Black people can't solve racism. They didn't create it.
We didn't even create race.
Correct. White people weren't called white until we got to America. It was a system of colorism put in place for superiority reasons, right? Exactly. The structures of racism, the structures, the systems in America were built around this concept. So quit asking black people, how do we solve racism? You sound like a lazy piece of shit who's not really here to do anything except for say, I'm not racist. I'm not racist. Don't call me a racist. White people care more about being called a racist than they do actual fucking racism.
They literally want to consider it a racial slur. Like to be called colonizer or Karen. And it's like, can you fix your fucking lips and say it out loud? Because y'all motherfuckers don't have the balls to call us the N-word out loud in front of our faces. It's very fucking different. Very fucking different.
Of course.
There's not centuries of fucking oppression attached to that word.
Exactly. White people have oppression FOMO. That's what they have. Agreed. They have the fear of missing out on oppression. So every fucking inconvenience in their fucking white fragile world is goddamn oppression. You know, this is why I tell people. People say to me, "Oh, well, I remember this one time this black guy said to me I was a cracker." I say to them, "Cool. Guess what? You're still 4 times less likely to experience use of force or threat of use of force when stopped by the police. Guess what? You're still 3 times more likely to get a call back from an employer by having a traditional white name than having a traditional black name. Guess what? You're still going to get a higher appraisal in your home when somebody comes to your house to appraise it. Guess what? You still have a more likely chance, by way of 75%, to go to a school that has better resources. We got standardized testing, but we don't have standardized resources. But as a white person, you're more likely to have better resources. So, yeah, somebody might have called you a cracker one time, but you're going to live in this system a whole lot better than the person that called you a cracker. So I'll tell you what, put away your fucking fragile feelings and fix this shit.
Amen. Amen. And you know what? Let me ask you. So I know you've talked about a lot on your platform, and you even just spoke about it here a little bit. You grew up in a household full of racism. Can you tell me, like, as far back as you can remember, looking back on it, What sort of things were you taught, like as a little kid growing up, like that later you realized was racist as fuck?
This is the most important topic that I'll ever speak on in my life. I'm gonna tell you why. There is not enough education out there. There's not enough literature out there. There's not enough things written. And part of that's my own fault. This is where I got to hold myself accountable. I should have already wrote this fucking book and helped get this education out there. But there's not enough literature out there that talks specifically about how racism is taught. We all know racism is born or is not born, it's taught. We know that. But how's it taught? Right? Mm-hmm. This conversation doesn't happen enough, especially in the white community. Black people don't know how racism is taught. They're not in white homes learning it.
Right.
And white people, the vast majority of them, don't even fucking know they're racist. So they don't know how it's taught because they don't even think they're fucking racist. And so to answer your question, racism is taught like this. Racism is taught casually, okay? Nobody says, okay, sit down. It's Monday night at 7:00. This is our time that we're going to study racism and learn how to be racist. No, it's taught casually. You're told things like, I say, hey, I'm going over to 2nd Street. Hey, you're going to 2nd Street? No, that's the bad part of town. You need to be careful over there. Now, nothing really happens on 2nd Street, but all the black folk live there. So you're taught indirectly that's the bad part of town. There's a fight at school. And it happens to involve a black kid. Lots of people will say, did other people jump in? Well, no. Normally they like to fight in packs. Literally, you hear this all the time. It's literally fucking casual conversation.
Or shit like, well, he wasn't raised right. Like automatically, the black kid wasn't raised right, even if the black kid wasn't the one that instigated the shit.
Right. Or, there's a story I tell all the time. Where my dad would tell me that black people, they're lazy. They don't got jobs. So they sell drugs. That's that. They sell drugs because they're lazy. And they live on welfare, right? Welfare. You hear all this shit. And so you think, fuck, you're a child. What the fuck else you going to think? That must be true. But right after my dad tells me that, there's a knock on the door. I open the door. I let them in. They go to the living room. They give my dad some money. He weighs out some marijuana, a couple pills, hands it to him. That's a drug deal. And then we go to the grocery store to buy groceries, but we don't spend the money that he just received from this drug deal. He breaks out a yellow and a blue and a green food coupon. You see, I grew up before the cards. It was coupon. And we're on welfare. So my dad's dealing drugs on welfare, telling me that black people deal drugs and live on welfare. But my dad would say to me this. Son, I work really hard and I care about you and I want you kids to have a lot. So I sell drugs as a way to supplement my income. And then he'll say, I pay my taxes and that's why I'm on welfare. That's why we get food stamp. Yeah, somebody said food stamp. Exactly what they were called growing up, food stamp. And, I get welfare because I pay my taxes. So what he's saying without saying it is, he's a hard worker, so his drug dealing is justified. A black person is lazy, his is not. He pays his taxes, so his welfare is justified. A black person is not. You see, this is what you hear. And then one of the most important things you'll hear. Well, first, before I even say that, the N-word also, a lot of people got to understand, the N-word is casual conversation. You see, that's not, for those people that may think that the N-word only comes out when somebody's angry or don't like a black person, no. That's the descriptor. You understand? That's the casual descriptor. There's another story I tell a lot of people, and this tells you how deep in the country I was, because a lot of people don't know this, but every year, all right, January would come around and we would get off for a 3-day weekend for Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, right? And this literally happened all the time. Come home from school on a Friday. I was the oldest kid, so it was my job to make sure my dad's second wife, not my mom, his second wife, knew when we had school and when we didn't have school. I'd tell her, hey, we're at school Monday. What for? It's Martin Luther King birthday. And then she would say, oh, so it's beep day. It's N-word day. Where I grew up, that's what Martin Luther King Day was called, N-word day. Obviously, they said the N-word. They didn't say N-word.
Right.
And then they would go on rants. Literally, it happened all the time. All the adults would go on rants. It used to be President's Day, and then these goddamn N-words, they wanted to have a holiday because they want every fucking thing. And then, so now their goddamn N-word leader is got his fucking day, and there's no President's Day because they don't love America. Like, this is what you hear. I literally believed for so many years, Martin Luther King's birthday replaced President's Day. And then I also believed that because that happened because black people just want to take everything from white people. And this is in the fucking 80s. This is not QAnon, okay? This ain't Trump.
Right. So let me ask you this. How often did you hear when you would challenge the racism, like as you got older, when you would challenge that racism, how often would you hear the famous line, there's a difference between niggers and black people?
Well, that's what I was actually getting ready to say.
Yes.
That's the most common thing, right?
Yep.
That is literally the most damaging thing. I'll tell you a true story. So I use 15 as kind of the timeline when I was 15 when I first told my dad he's not going to say the N-word around me anymore.
Okay.
It didn't go over well. I actually got beat up.
Look, I can only imagine.
But hey, I stood my ground, right? But as I got closer to 15, I was out there educating myself and opening my eyes and stuff. And I have a cousin named Eddie. Now, he's my cousin by the way. He's really my dad's cousin, so I guess he's like my second cousin or whatever. And Eddie was in the living room smoking some pot with Dad, and they was talking about whatever. And I think I might have been 15 at the time, might have been 14, 15 years old. And anyway, they was talking about something, and N-word came out, and they already knew how I feel about it. And Eddie looks up, and he's holding a joint in his hand, and he says, listen, I know what you're thinking, Russell. There's a difference between an N-word and a black man. I said, all right, Eddie, what's the fucking difference? Even though I've heard this 3,000 times.
Right.
He says, well, black man works hard, takes care of his family, follows the law, and pays his taxes. And N-words, goddamn thug, criminal, this and that. And so I said to him, okay, so you're a black man?
He got big mad, didn't he?
Oh, dude, we started, it got violent.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So I said, so that makes you a black man? Oh, my God. Even my dad was like, how fucking dare? So, okay, just so you know, in the mountains. So the mountains kind of have their own fucking world, right? It's like cut off from the rest of goddamn society. And we have our own fucking rules of life. And there's really a big deal. Like when somebody's in your house, they're a guest in your house. And so, like, you got to treat them likewise. So in my dad's eyes, this was me, even though it's our cousin, it's our family. It's me insulting a guest in his home, his own son. What kind of fucking shit is this? I mean, this whole thing erupts. It's a big deal, right? Eddie wanted to fight. Eddie's about 5'9", $150. I was about 6'1", 200. Come on, Eddie. We'll have that conversation. But it got violent, but there was no fight because my dad stopped it. But my dad was pissed. Eddie was pissed. Eddie left. Never been insulted like this in my life, you know. I said, come back. I'll try harder next time, you know. And but yeah, I mean, you hear that a lot. There's a difference between an N-word and a black man. And literally, you got to understand, that is where the foundation of building this barrier comes from, right? There's a barrier to seeing racism. And so, yeah, it's important conversation. It's important to understand, even now in 2021, people still say that bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. My friend's boyfriend or whatever he is, he thought it was okay to call me a halfie in an N-word. And then when she called him out on it, he was like, there's a difference between niggers and black people. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, bitch, you're white as fuck. Who the fuck are you?
Right. And here's why. And here's the most dangerous thing about that ideology too. What it basically says is you're an N-word until a white person gives you the pass.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So when a white person approves of your way of life, then you're just black. Before that N-word, it's the guilty of proven innocent concept. This is literally every idea of white America is built around white America is the standard. If you don't talk like us, you're this, that, the third. If you don't walk like us, you're this, that, and the third. If you don't dress like us, you're this, that, and the third. If you don't think like us, you're this, that, and the third. White America views white America as the standard. And if you deviate from that standard, there's a problem with you.
Exactly.
Had his dad's views ever changed with his teaching? No, my dad passed away in 2007 at the age of 45. For the last 4 years prior to his passing, we didn't talk. We had a pretty tumultuous relationship after I kind of came out as an anti-racist. And so, you know, I left home at 18, and then we kind of stopped talking when I was about 20, 21. Not stopped completely, but for the most part, yeah. Then I was 24, he died. So that's that.
Okay. And I think, if I remember correctly, you have mixed brothers and sisters, correct? I'm guessing that's from your mom's side, obviously.
Correct, right.
So I'm guessing your dad also had a lot to say about that.
You gotta understand. So that was a big. So if you really want to paint the whole picture, my dad grew up racist. My grandparents were racist. You know, racism was the fundamental.
It was inherent,
right? And you got to understand too. There's this stereotype, what we call trope, that black men are out here trying to steal white women. That's like a pretty common thing that people believe. Well, when I was 3 years old, my mom divorced from my dad, rightfully so. My dad was, in terms of being a husband, was a piece of shit. So my mom was right. He was. He hit women the whole nine. He's a piece of shit. So anyway, and it took me a long time to realize that he always, besides teaching me racism, hitting women, you know, was straight to me and loved me. And that's another conversation. But anyway, my mom left him when I was 3, and she remarried to a black man. And you got to understand what happened around the mountain at that point. Now you got all of dad's family and friends saying, "What happened? She left you for a beep." Right? And so now you got a racist who just verified a stereotype, and he's embarrassed. And so his racism.
So he became pretty volatile after that.
Correct. The judge actually awarded my dad custody of me. And nobody will admit it or say it, but in large part because it was the 80s in North Carolina, and she was with a black man, so she's not going to get custody of me, right?
Right.
Got to keep a white child safe from that type of environment.
Oh, of course.
And so my dad had custody of me, and he did not let my mom see me. Did not. My mom came over. I remember one time when I was 5 or 6. There probably times, but there's times I remember. And my dad said, "You know, you get the hell out of here. I'll shoot all of you." You know, because you live on the mountain, you can shoot a motherfucker and get away with it. So,
oh yeah.
So they would leave. He didn't let my mom see me until a court order when I was 10 years old. So that's when I got to meet my mother. Was when I was 10 years old. That's a whole story by itself. But that relationship with my mother, and her having mixed siblings, it was really, to be honest with you, the relationship with my siblings that actually broke me out of my racism. Is what allowed me to see the truth and start questioning the truth, right? Would you say you were angry at your siblings because of the things that your dad was, if your dad was, because of the things your dad was saying? Like, did you feel like they broke your family and stuff like that? My dad told me that my mom's relationship with that black man, or marriage, they were married. Her marriage with that man wasn't a marriage because it was ungodly. It said in the Bible that God doesn't approve of interracial marriages. So therefore, her marriage wasn't even real. Therefore, ipso facto, her children are bastards. Okay? And I believe that. What fucking reason do I have to not believe it, right? And so he would call her children N-word children, and call her an N-word lover. And so when she got visitation rights to me at 10, I wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. Okay. So I remember the first time she came and got me for visitation, the very first time. We went to a museum, and I think she took me to a museum kind of like as a way to make it neutral ground, not straight to her house right away, kind of neutral ground. And the whole way to the museum, she's trying to talk to me, and I'm literally, as a 10-year-old, I'm like, "No, fuck you. like literally saying those words. And I wanted to do it. And instead of correcting me, she was letting it ride because I think she understood the situation. And plus, she knows my dad. My mom can tell you times that my mom will tell you stories of her and my dad being out. There was a time that her and my dad, when they were still married, were with one of my dad's friends and his wife, and they pulled up to a convenience store, and there was 2 white girls in the store, and they saw in the car there was 2 black guys. Now I'm from a sundown town, so you shouldn't be black after dark in this town.
Absolutely not.
It was after dark, and it was at the gas station. So my dad and his friend made my mom and his friend's wife go into the store and drag those girls out. And then my dad and his friend drugged those black guys out the car, and they beat them all up. So my mom is quite aware that my dad's a racist. And so I'm sure that when she picked me up at the age of 10, the way I was talking, she probably expected it. And I was telling her, and she was asking me, like, why do you hate me so much? I said, where the fuck you been for 10 years, this, that, and the third, and I don't want to be with an N-word lover. God hates you. God hates your marriage. God hates your N-word children, this kind of stuff. And anyway, we had the museum trip went fucking horribly, but I made it that way. I didn't want her to pick me up. I made it so, you know what? In 2 weeks, when she has visitation again, she won't pick me up.
Right.
Ain't gonna happen. Fucking 2 weeks go by. Saturday, 10 o'clock, whatever fucking time it was, she pulls up. Ooh, I was like, God damn, I can't believe this woman came. So I get in the car, and that visit, she took me to her home. My mom lived in an all-black neighborhood. See, where I'm from, that's what the fuck it was. It's all white and all black. And there's no fucking, that's not.
There's no mixing.
No. So my mom is legitimately the only white person in this neighborhood. So as we're pulling up, I can see that we're pulling into a black neighborhood, and I'm fucking not happy, right? I'm just fucking, I'm a racist. Why the fuck would I be happy about this? And so I'm just sitting like, God damn, let me just bide my time and get the fuck out of here. So we go inside. I'm sitting on the couch. I'm not talking to nobody. My mom's like, you want to do this with this? She said, listen, I want you to meet your brothers and sisters. I'm like, I don't want to meet nobody. Now I'm older than they are. And at the time, she had 3 children with her second husband. And even he wasn't there. I think he was at work, as a matter of fact, too. Anyway, she goes, no, you're gonna meet your brothers and sisters. So she brings her brothers and sisters out. And I don't want fucking nothing to do with anybody. Well, they come out and they're like, hey, Russell, oh my God, Russell, so happy to meet you. And they're very ecstatic. And I'm like, what the fuck are you happy to see me for? You didn't fucking know me.
Right. Like, bitch, get away from me.
But, well, I didn't do that. And here's why. They were so nice to me and so excited to see me that even my little hateful ass couldn't find it in my heart to hate them. Right? And so I said, hey, nice to meet you too. I was kind of, rigid, but I wasn't cold or hateful.
Okay.
And so and so they bring some, like, at the time, Ninja Turtles was like really popular. So they bring out like some Ninja Turtles, and I'm like, all right, that looks kind of cool. I'll play fucking Ninja Turtles with you. So we like playing them with shit, And then the next time I go to mom's house, my brother's like, hey, you want to go ball? And I loved basketball. Like, I'm tall, so I like playing basketball. I was like, fuck yeah. Well, is there like a net around here? Is it, yeah, right outside, legit. We go to the end of the neighborhood. There's like fucking 20 people on the court. People got nets. Where I'm from, like, there's like 6 of us. We don't even have enough for 2 teams. I can't believe there's 20 people ready to play ball. I'm like, oh, fuck, this is fan-fucking-tastic. So I start playing ball, and everybody can know everybody. You know what I mean? And so as I would go each time to my mom's house, I got to know more and more people and more this, that, and third. And it dawned on me. It just kind of happened one day. I don't really know what. There was no really significant event or nothing, but it was just like, this ain't what the fuck my dad said happened over here. These people are not fucking treating me no kind of way. Not a bunch of violence and drug dealing and this and that. And I'm not getting beat up, or none of the shit that's supposed to be happening to me is happening. So now I was at a critical crossroad for a 13-year-old, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had to fucking decide what I've been told my whole life is true, or what I'm literally looking at with my own fucking 2 eyes is true. And obviously I chose the latter. I chose reality over falsehood. So now I went through this whole fucking identity crisis. Like I didn't know anymore. What the fuck is race? What the fuck? And the shitty part about it was, obviously I can't talk to my dad about this shit.
Right.
And I didn't talk to my mom. I didn't have the relationship with my mom. I didn't want to talk to my mom about it. I don't got the kind of relationship with her. So now I'm going through it by myself. I'm like, fuck it, like, and I would literally watch videos of Dr. King talking, Malcolm talking. I read books. I read Malcolm's biography, Dr. King's biography. I read a lot of shit, actually. Angela Davis, Fuki Newton, read all that shit. And I was just reading it. I literally wasn't reading it so I could learn what they were saying at first. I was reading it to hear what they were saying. It was like there's this other world I didn't know about. So now I need to learn about it. I want to learn about this other fucking world. And there just was a big transformation that happened. I'd say it took a couple of years, and I broke away from it. And like I said, I was 15 when I told my dad, hey, you're not going to say the N-word in front of me anymore. It didn't go over well, but that's kind of my breaking point. And so that's kind of the story there.
Okay. Yeah. So here's a question that you may not get that often. Since your journey on being a full-on anti-racist, was there any time where you actually had to educate your mom, even though she was the one who was with a black man and essentially was the catalyst for this journey for you altogether?
So it's a really good question. I like that question. There's been times where I've noticed my mom might say or do something that's a little bit tone deaf. Be honest with you, for the most part, my mom doesn't happen with her that often. She's pretty in tune. But there are times I notice it, but I don't check her. I'll be honest with you why. Even now, this is 30 years later, 30 years after my first meeting her, I just don't like. I'm close to my mom. I'm close to my sibling. I'm close to my family. That's actually the only family I associate with. I don't even associate with my dad's side of the family. But I don't consider myself as having that level of relationship. I feel like in those situations, my brothers or sisters will say something to her, and they always do. Like my brothers and sisters are very outspoken, and they actually check her a lot. Not a lot. A lot makes it sound like she needs it a lot, but
whenever she does it, whenever she
correct,
needs it,
they do check her, and they're good about that. And so I don't.
Right.
Okay.
Let's talk about. I remember on TikTok, and we were talking about this before backstage. But for everybody that's watching, there was a video that went viral on TikTok where a black woman said, if you're not black, don't call me sis.
Mm-hmm.
And you stitched it and you said, okay.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that was like, hey, I'm gonna hit that follow. You kept showing up on my FYP, but like I was not about to hit that follow button until I saw that. I was like, okay, all right, this guy actually means what the hell he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the less common microaggressions that you have noticed that are very common that are used against black people? Because I feel like people are not aware enough to understand when something is very microaggressive. Like for instance, my mom today, my friends got to hear all about this shit. My mom today went ahead and she was telling me about this guy that she works with, and he's a white man, but apparently he's done a lot of Black Lives Matter protests.
Another one.
And he grew up within the black community. But she said he has black friends and he's like ghetto. And I was like, fucking not. I was like, Mom, can we fucking not?
Right.
But like that type of thing, like even saying like, just because someone grew up within the black community doesn't mean that they grew up in the hood. It doesn't mean they're ghetto.
Correct.
And I think there are some microaggressions, like we all know the common ones, or like, oh, do you like rap music and shit like that? Or what about black on black crime? Right. But I think there are a lot of other ones that are more nuanced that we don't know about. So do you want to go ahead and maybe give some
So I think
examples?
I'm gonna answer this probably not like you expected, but I don't consider myself qualified to answer that question in the way you asked it. I'm not black, and so I don't experience microaggressions, so I don't see myself as qualified to say what is a microaggression. What I would like to answer that question with is this, and this is what I tell white people all the time: microaggressions exist. We don't know what they are because we're not the ones experiencing them. We're the ones doing them, like your mother saying he's ghetto guy.
Mm-hmm. And I guess that's what I mean. Like, what have
right.
you
So,
seen?
But what I want to say to white people is this. Kind of like what I said in that video, as a matter of fact. When a black person says, hey man, don't do that. Just say okay and shut the fuck up. That's the message. That's the point. Everybody goes, well, I didn't mean it that way. Okay? Listen, it's the whole intent versus impact conversation, right? First of all, that's why, after that video where she said, hey, if you're not black, don't call me sis. And I said, okay. Then I drank my coffee and I said, oh, you wanted more? No, that's it. Just okay. When somebody sets limitations, respect them. And that is the message I really want to get across to white people. I myself, I don't really know. I even may. I'm sure I do. I'm sure I'm guilty of microaggressions myself. It's implicit bias is built so deep below the surface. I've been preaching. I shouldn't say preaching because I spent a long time learning. I've been on this journey for 20 years. Let's say that I've been on this journey for going on 25 years. Mm-hmm. But guess what? It's a journey. It's not a destination, right? And so I'm still learning. So I don't know what the microaggressions are because I don't experience them. But what I do know is that when somebody says, yo, don't say it that way. Don't do it this way. Roger Dodger, can you explain to me now why? Because fuck my intent. It doesn't matter what my intent was. It matters how it landed. It doesn't matter what the intended target of the bullet was. It matters who it hit.
And can we just add on to that it's okay to ask why or how it's microaggressive or why it's not okay, but it's also okay when black people don't want to fucking explain it to you.
You better say that one more again, please.
We do not have to tell you why it's microaggressive. We do not have to explain it. And we don't have to be fucking nice about it.
Nope. And that's just it. Right? So like if I'm out around town, I mean it hasn't happened, but let's say it did happen. Somebody's like, hey man, don't say that shit. I'd be like, I bet. I just roll with it. Then I'd go back home to like, my brother or my sister or one of my friends, like, oh man, this happened today, and I'm not really sure what the fuck. Because I know that they'll talk to me, right? But of course nobody has to. But right. there's this concept that white people think, well, that's racist if you're getting mad at me. Shut the fuck up. Like, there is literally no equivalent of a microaggression towards white people. It just doesn't happen. Because there's not a historical context for deeply seated implicit biases that represent themselves in everyday behavior, which is what microaggression is. And so white people just can't experience it. And so they can't understand it. And this is what I try to tell the white people. Who cares if you don't understand it? Just say okay. That's it. Exactly. That's true with like everything. Like, let me take it beyond race. Because I was literally, no shit. I was literally 30, 31, 32, in my early 30s. Before I realized that I was transphobic. Okay, I didn't know I was transphobic. I legitimately, I believed in the rights for all people. I would do nothing to stop people's rights. But, right, there's always a but. Trans people got mental disorders. There's something wrong with you if you think you're something else. That's what I believe. And there's a whole long story. I won't go off on a tangent right now, but there was kind of a story that was kind of the tipping point for me. But the day came. It was a slow transition, but this day came when bing, the light went off, and I realized gender is a fucking social construct. That's a real fucking thing. And so, therefore, when somebody says to me, my pronouns are, I just say okay. I don't need to understand why you feel this way, how you feel that way, why they're that way, why that's your pronouns. I don't need to. Because in this life, where we have this much time on planet Earth, a very short period of time to be here, I would rather spend my life enjoying my own life and being happy in my life and doing everything I can to make other people happy in theirs, rather than if I'm doing anything that's making another person's existence more difficult, another person's existence more depressing, or more anything. I don't want to do that. I don't need to understand it. I just need to not be part of it. And so that's my whole thing with microaggressions, with pronouns, with everything. Are you happy? Well, I'm happy if you call me she. Done. Why do I give a fuck? Why has it got to be a whole fucking speech and a whole fucking everything? Just do it. My name is Russell. Everybody on planet Earth calls me Jolly. My birth certificate says Russell. I was assigned Russell at birth. Why are you so quick to call me Jolly? Because I asked you to. No, I didn't really ask you to. People know me like that, but you get the point.
Right.
But if I asked you, hey, my nickname's Cowboy, you call me Cowboy. Nobody will give a fuck. But when it comes to what's assigned to you at birth as far as gender, oh, now it's a fucking problem. It's so stupid. So this is what I tell white people. When a black person says that's a microaggression, even if they don't say it's a microaggression, they say, hey, don't fucking do that.
Don't fucking do it, period.
Respect boundaries. It's not even hard.
Exactly.
If somebody just said in the comments, hate takes so much energy. It really fucking does.
It really does. And I think what white people don't understand is that they carry this inherent sense of entitlement.
Of course.
So they expect, like, okay, even allies or people who call themselves that, they will sit there and they will say, like, okay, I understand that I did something wrong, but it is your burden to educate me,
right,
as to why it's wrong, instead of me just taking it as it's wrong. And that's not our job. Slavery ended quite a while ago. Yep. We don't need to give you any more free labor.
Well, here's the thing. You're right, number one, that white people feel entitled. God, that's so true. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, let me just say this to all of white America, whoever is listening, whoever watches this later or whatever. If anybody listens to anything I say, listen to this. Black people spend a whole lot of fucking time trying to tell us. And we spend a whole lot of time not fucking listening.
Say it again. Say it
you see what I'm saying?
Again.
So now we've reached the point in time, black people are tired of telling us shit. Now Google's free, motherfucker. Right? So it's been written in a book. Go read it. It's been given in a lecture. Go listen to it. It's been told on an interview. Go watch it. Stop expecting black people to cure you of your racism.
Oh, and can we also stop doing this? When a black person corrects you, please don't sit there and be like, well, my other black friend doesn't have a problem with it. Please fucking stop. Because we're not a monolith.
Right?
We're not a monolith, correct. Period. Like, I sure as fuck don't agree with Candace Owens, bitch ass.
Right.
Stop thinking we're the same.
Who was I talking to? Oh, I won't say who I was talking to, because this person more famous than me on social media, so I won't say who it was. But he was talking to me, and we were on the phone. And what was he saying? Oh, he's a white guy, by the way. And he was saying, hey, Jolly, man, help me out. He like leans on me to understand racism. He himself wants to be as anti-racist as possible. That's not his platform, but he still wants to be that person. Right. And he's like, help me understand this. He goes, man, majority of my subscribers are black people, and like a lot of black people support what I'm doing. But then I got these people that come in my comments like, oh, you should do this, that's racist, or you're doing this is tone deaf. And it's usually white people. Like, I just want to say to them, don't you understand that most of the people that follow me are black? I stopped him. I said, listen, I'm not going to say his name here. But I said, listen, person with name, you're not going to say that. Let me explain to you why. I don't care if 100,000 black people follow you. You don't get to use those black people as your defense against a white person or any other person. You don't get to speak for those black people. Hey, they follow me because they approve of me. And even if those 100,000 black people say to you, I approve of what you're doing, there could be 100,000 other black people that don't. Black people are not a monolith. So when those white people say that, you need to say to them this. Why do you feel that way? Why are you saying that way? And when they say, well, black person so-and-so said this, you tell them, you stop speaking for black people and speak for yourself. Too many, even white people with the best of intentions, want to refer to other black people as their, well, this person, that right there, that by itself is racist. That's an implicit bias. The implicit bias is black people are a monolith, is a one group thing. Listen, that's why you hear shit like this. 13% of the population commits 50% of the crime. Pause. 13% of the population represents doctors, lawyers, teachers, fucking office workers, janitors, the elderly, the retired. 13% of the population represents the same population as any other population. So 13% of the population not committing 50% of the crime. No, people that are committing crime, which is a much smaller percent of that population.
Not to mention that shit is like that shit happens because of proximity.
Well, that's black on black crime, right?
Right, proximity.
Right.
Because we're not going out shooting other black people specifically because they're black. So it's not black on black crime.
Right. That's 100% agree with that. But what I mean when I say that is white people believe that, this idea that 13% is black America and that black America is just doing this one thing. And that's why if you watch my videos, I often say, because guess what, white America, this is going to shock you, but black people are individuals. I say that all the time because that's the part that people don't get. Black people are fucking individuals. Every individual person has an individual thought, black, white, or whatever. So stop leaning on a black person to teach you to not be racist and educate your goddamn self. Stop thinking that black person giving you a pass for whatever that pass is means that you have an understanding of something. That's not the case.
Not the pass. Not the pass.
But you know what pass? A lot of people like to use. Right?
I'm just saying.
Can I say,
white person that's watching? I don't give a fuck who told you. You do not have a fucking N-word pass. I'm gonna just say that.
Right. And that's how it should,
Can I please say my analogy, please?
Go
yes.
ahead.
Hold on real quick. Okay. So you do not get a nigga pass from me. That nigga pass is from that nigga. So every time you get a nigga pass, that is for that nigga. So you're going to need a nigga pass for every nigga you pass. Or niggas going to pass a fist in your face. I'm going back in the dark now. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Well, I explained it to a particular white individual one time who said that word in front of me. I said, so what we're not going to do is say that. He's like, man, so-and-so. I said, stop. The fact that you think I give a fuck about so-and-so and so-and-so is where you got me all the way fucking wrong. And I explained it to him like this. I said, you ever been to a store and it says on the front, Visa, MasterCard, and Discover accepted here? Yeah. I said, have you gone in there and tried to use another card? Go and try to use an American Express where it's Visa, MasterCard, and Discover accepted. Just because you got this American Express pass, don't mean the Discover store is taking it. Don't mean the Visa store is taking it. Don't mean the MasterCard store is taking it. Okay? So go back to where you got that pass from. Ride that train. Your card's no good here.
Right.
And that's what people got to understand. There's historical motherfuckers say shit like, oh, well, saying colonizer is the same thing as saying the N-word. Okay?
Absolutely not.
Then why did you say colonizer, but you said N-word?
That's
the word you won't say is the worst one, right? We've heard that analogy.
Right.
The word you won't say is the worst of the two
right.
words. Okay? So, like, white people, here's what white people aren't used to hearing. You ready? I'm going to tell you the word that white people aren't used to hearing. I'm going to get ready. No.
Period.
That's what they're not used to hearing. No. You can't do that. You can't have that. You can't go there. That's what white people are not used to hearing.
I agree. There was a lady who had cornrows in her hair, and I said something like, "Hey, do understand that there's a cultural significance to this, and this isn't for you. It's not for white people. Plus your hair gonna fall out. Fucking stop. And right away she said, well, I just think anybody should be able to wear their hair however they want. And she said, well, then I don't understand why y'all wear blonde wigs. Hold on. Hold the fuck on. First of all, there's naturally blonde haired black people on this fucking planet. And half of you white people who have blonde fucking hair aren't natural fucking blondes.
Correct.
So shut all the way the fuck up. But yeah, that is, I definitely agree with you there. The worst word that they can ever hear, because they've never heard it before in their life, is no.
It's no. That's right.
It's no. And no is a full sentence.
And here's the thing about cultural appropriation. I've had this conversation many times, and it's important to have this conversation. The reason white people that black people, quote unquote, gatekeep. That's what white people like to say. You're gatekeeper. Yeah, you're goddamn right. Here's why. Because every time you motherfuckers come in to gate, you a goddamn Trojan horse. That's why. If white people knew how to respect a culture, that would be a different conversation. White people don't.
Absolutely.
Right? You see, like, there's cultural appropriation in other aspects. I lived in Asia for almost 10 years, by the way. I speak Korean fluently, by the way. And when I'm over in Korea and Japan, you see white people that come over there, and they'll dress up in traditional Korean attire, or they'll dress up in traditional Japanese attire, whatever. And there's two types of people that do that. There's the types that do it, honoring the culture and trying to learn about it, and that kind of stuff. And then there's the people that do it because they think it's cool and cute, and then they're real disrespectful while doing it. You see, that's where it becomes cultural appropriation. You're doing it to be cute. You're doing it because you want this, or you want it for yourself. Mm-hmm. You're not doing it because you're trying to learn about the culture, or you honor the background of it, or you understand where that comes from. I firmly believe if the history didn't exist, that it exists where white people fucking just steal culture, it wouldn't be such a problem. But white people do steal culture. Even now, they still steal culture. White people love black music. White people love black culture. White people love black trends. White people love black hair. But white people kill black people at a rate 2.87 times higher than white people. So yeah, when you check that young lady on her hair, there's 100,000% a justified cultural reason for that. And exactly. That's the part that white people don't want to understand. They want to make it in this vacuum. She was speaking in a vacuum. Everybody should be allowed to have whatever they want. Sure, if you could have it and appreciate it, if you could have it and fucking honor the culture it comes from, if you could have it and respect where the fuck it came from, but you can't. Because you'll wear that shit and still say all lives matter. You'll wear that shit and still back the blue. You'll wear that shit and still, you know what I mean? So no. I
say it like this. They want our expression, but not our oppression. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, you can go ahead and you could go to a job interview with braids, and you're going to be seen as artsy and trendy. I go to a job interview with braids, or someone with darker skin than me goes to a job interview with braids, and we're going to be seen as ghetto, ratchet, unprofessional, lazy, loud, all combative, aggressive, all this shit. But y'all sit there and go and pay the plastic surgeon thousands of dollars to have features like us.
Yep.
You want our full lips. You want our darker skin. But you don't want to understand our struggle.
Correct.
And
everybody
that's where the problem is.
Time to be black. That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
But I'm going to switch gears real quick. We need to talk about this fucked up patriarchy, because one thing that I saw in your speech is something I've been saying forever is the system is not broken. There's nothing to fix. It is working the exact way it's designed to work. Mm-hmm. To me, I just want to say for everybody watching, I am not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I think they are two wings of the same bird. They still gonna shit on me. They're both racist as fuck. So we're seeing all of these abortion bans and voter suppression laws coming out. what is something that you're doing as a white man with that high privilege to try to combat these things? And where would you suggest for people to start trying to tear down this white heteronormative patriarchy that is our country?
Right. I mean, Jesus, that's a really complex question, right? And a really complex solution. But number one, yeah, you're right. As a white person, I have privilege. As a white cis hetero male, I have a lot of privilege, and so it's important that we as white people, especially white males, especially white cis hetero males, put power to our privilege, right? Privilege is privilege until you put power to it. Then when you put power to it, white women are real quick to weaponize their tears, right? Well, I tell people, weaponize your privilege, right? Let's weaponize our privilege. Because I'm very comfortable calling something out of its name. You understand? I can say the same thing you could say, and they're going to just say you're pulling the race card, but they can't say that to me. You know what I mean? They got a bunch of sorry ass excuses they have. Oh, you're a race baiter, you're a race hustler, you are pandering or whatever. That's okay, cool. Now that you're done calling me names, let me call it what it is, right? So when it comes to the patriarchy, especially this bullshit abortion, right? We as the people, until we collectively join, until we put the unity in community, until we do that, we are letting a minority rule. You understand? Like you said, you're not a Democrat or Republican, and neither am I. 25% of voters voted for Hillary Clinton. 25% of voters voted for Donald Trump. 25% of voters voted for Joe Biden. 25% of voters voted for Donald Trump. That's how close it is. We're talking 25.6 versus 25.9. You realize that leaves 50% of the voters that didn't vote for either one of them. So if we were to just get 30% of those people, we could kick the Democratic Republican Party out of office. You understand what I'm saying? So this is a big part of what I like to do. Now, I consider myself a fireman. I travel around and put out fires. I'm going tomorrow morning to Lubbock, Virginia to protest in Trump Town because they slammed a black kid on his face. We was in Kenosha 2 weeks ago. We was in D.C. last week. I'll be in Minneapolis in 2 weeks. I'll be in Philly next week. We travel around. We put out fires. But what I would rather be is a unified voice of solidarity, because the only way we're going to defeat white supremacy, the only way we're going to defeat the patriarchy, the only way we're going to defeat the white, cis, heteronormative reality is solidarity and unity against it. What happens is we keep sitting around and waiting for it to fix itself. Problems don't go away with time. They get worse. Every single thing that is happening is literally a result of compromise with white supremacy, compromise with the patriarchy. What we're seeing in Texas, this is fucking theocracy at its best. They're literally weaponizing the Bible. It's theocracy. And so until we collectively get off our ass, put feet to the street, and fucking have solidarity and put the unity in community, because listen, they are. Those motherfuckers are voting. Those motherfuckers do got groups. Those motherfuckers got donations and they got this. And they're putting power to their fucking, bullshit bigotry. We got to outnumber them, man. That's how you win. We got to outnumber them. I think we do outnumber them, but everybody's so busy doing some other shit. Go to D.C. last week. You was there. What did you notice? You noticed there was 3 different fucking marches going on. There was a march with Al Sharpton and that march. Then there was another spot over here for the families of victims of police brutality. And then over here, there was the what was it called? The Good Trouble March. Good Trouble. So literally we had 3 different marches going on. But if we got all 3 of us in the same room, all 3 of those marches together, we'd probably all agree on damn near everything. We're stronger together.
And what I think that a lot of people don't understand, and this goes across the board, what they don't understand is this shit starts locally. We're not going to get where we want to be.
I agree with that.
By just charging the fucking White House and telling
Correct.
Joe Biden, hey,
100%.
give us what the fuck we want. That's not
how
I
agree
works.
with that.
First of all, we're not insurrectionists.
Correct.
Second of all, it starts in your own town, locally. You have to go ahead and you have to challenge your school board. You have to go ahead and you have to challenge your aldermen, your mayors, your governors. You have to choose your state representatives. That is how you affect change as well.
Yes. Now
we need to be united from home all the way to the steps of the Capitol.
And I agree with all that, with one condition. We have to do that independent of the existing superpowers.
Exactly.
We have to.
I personally believe that we need to get rid of the Electoral College as well.
And that's a long fight. Here, listen, you know what we really need to get rid of? Okay, if we want to get down to the real nitty gritty, first of all, why the fuck do I got a Supreme Court for life? That needs to be elected every 4 years like any fucking thing else. Supreme Court justices should be elected. Number two, we literally have Supreme Court rulings that are in effect right now. 1961, Terry versus Ohio. It gives officers the right to search you for officer safety, literally strip you of your constitutional rights. It's damn near impossible to overturn Terry because there's a thing called jurisprudence. It's been going on for so many years. And so it's almost impossible to turn it over. We need to do common sense things like overturn Terry, elect the Supreme Court. We need to fucking stop arguing about petty bullshit and start talking about things that matter. We allow the Democrats and the Republicans to dictate to us what's important. While we're spending $2 trillion for the last 20 years in Afghanistan, we got teachers spending their own money in schools. We have a standardized test. If you don't pass that standardized test, you're considered subpar. Why do we have legislation for standardized tests, but we don't have legislation for standardized resources? Why don't we give our children
to follow, not to think for themselves, not to learn the way that
I agree with that as well. But even beyond that, how can everybody come together and agree with a standardized test before we agree with standardized resources? That's fucking disgusting to me. Standardized opportunities. You go to cities like New York and Los Angeles and some of these big cities, they spend 50, 60, 70% of their city budget on the police because it's supposed to be tough on crime. If you want to be tough on crime, attack crime where it starts. It starts with resources and opportunities. Take that money from the police and put it into the education system. Absolutely. Put it into the community. I don't want a liquor store on every corner. I want a YMCA on every corner. I want opportunities on every corner. I want opportunities in the school system. I want resources in the school system. I don't want teachers spending their own money. I want teachers to be paid appropriately. We pay athletes all this money and we pay a teacher literally nothing. This is what our country has become, exactly where we've put our money and where we've put our resources and where we put our time. And now we're seeing the fruits of our own labor, and man, it's ugly. So if you want to change the future, you got to stop doing what we're doing now and do it different. Revolution is here, and revolution must happen, and the revolution will be televised.
Absolutely. And ADHD moment. I think another big problem is that we've allowed these politicians to make basic human rights politicized.
Correct.
Like a school board here in my state went ahead and they tried taking away free lunch for kids because, quote unquote, they didn't want them to be spoiled with food.
Yep, I heard about that.
You're telling me kids don't have a right to fucking eat while they're sitting in a fucking desk for 8 hours?
I've heard about that, and it's absolutely disgusting. There's this idea that if people have something free, first of all, children aren't working for their food to begin with, so that's just fucking ignorant. But the point is,
I kept tabs on that. Since it is my state and everything, I was in DC while this was all happening, but luckily enough people spoke out and it was overturned. So all the kids get free lunch in that district now.
Yeah, good. Well, that's what you just say. Somebody spoke out. Right?
Exactly.
That's exactly right. We need to stop this bullshit. Stop picking a side. Enough of us have to be like, now, fuck, you guys shut the fuck up, and you guys shut the fuck up. This is common sense. Allow common sense to prevail. Allow common sense to prevail. Like, There's people that we know about, like this guy that we're campaigning for right now in Oklahoma, Julius, who is literally innocent. It's been proven that he's innocent, and they're trying to still execute him. He's been on death row for 20 years. Common sense must prevail. What the fuck are we doing? Common sense must prevail. Why are we spending money on police and not on progression? Why are we spending money on the military and not our children? This shit has to stop. The problem is we've reached this point, which is a really weird point. We've reached this point where somehow people with really fucking stupid ass shit to say are considered, oh, well, they got their opinion too. There comes a point where your opinion is not an opinion anymore. It's goddamn toxic. It's hate. It's domestic terrorism. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Madison Cawthorn. This shit isn't opinions anymore. This is fucking gross negligence to humanity.
Exactly. And
so let's stop considering it an opinion. It's not an opinion.
Your opinion is not valid if it is a threat to my existence or
Agreed.
anyone's existence.
Agreed.
Period.
Agreed.
And I think a lot of people focus so much on our differences that we forget at the end of the day, we're all fucking people. Like,
But hang on. You said we forget.
Pops, or
you said we forget. We didn't
for 9 minutes.
Some of these motherfuckers didn't forget, Jessica. They didn't forget. They don't fucking even know it.
That part.
They don't see people as people. They see people as black. They see people as gay. They see people as trans. They don't see them as people. That's the fucking problem.
And they don't want to see. Because change is
there
too scary. So it's the willful ignorance on top of it. It's right in your face. You're running face first into the point, but you're still purposely missing it. And then you wonder why we scream in the streets, Black Lives Matter. You wonder why we scream in the streets, trans lives matter. We are getting killed at an exponential rate. But you just want to sit there and say, oh, well, if you would have complied, but then you don't. But then when a white person gets killed by the police, you sit there and you say, well, where's Black Lives Matter now? Bitch, where are you with all lives matter? If all lives matter, you be in the streets too. But what it comes down to is that you want to make excuses for people who are not like you, getting murdered, starving to death, their rights being taken away, getting mass deported, mass incarcerated. You don't give a fuck about that.
Correct.
Because at least it's not affecting you. Look at Meghan McCain. She didn't believe in that maternity leave bullshit until it happened to her. Then Meghan she started advocating for it.
Right, exactly.
And that's just the way that it's been. People don't care unless it directly affects them.
Agreed.
But you can sit there and call me your best friend, call me your sister, call me this. But then look at me dead in the face and say that I don't matter. I don't matter enough for you to speak out.
Because white people think this. Well, I did it, therefore somebody else can do it. Without realizing, no, they really can't. Like, it's not the fucking same, dum-dum. And what blows my mind is this. Here's what blows my mind the most. I guess this is the part that I grapple with the hardest. Black America has been saying goddamn near the same thing for 60, 70 years. White America, I got a question for you. Do you literally think that for 70 years, Black America has just been making this shit up? Like, do you really believe the excuses that we've been taught? That's not real. He didn't comply. That's not real. They're just lazy. That's not real. They're just violent. That's not real. How long? What's the cutoff point for how many fucking years the same exact community has to say the same fucking thing before you're like, wait a minute, I think this might really be a thing, right? That's what fucking pisses me off. Is it's not new. It's not fucking a new problem. It's not a new talk. It's not a new chant. And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. This is why when white America now is like, well, can you teach me? No, motherfucker, you weren't listening before. Now it's time to do it on your own. You know what I mean? And it's. I don't get tired. People say, "Do you ever get tired? Does this work wear you down?" No, to be honest with you, I don't. I just don't. I don't get to a point where I'm like, fuck. Does it mentally fuck with me sometimes? Yes, that's what this work is. This work can be a mental fuckery sometimes.
Absolutely.
I never get tired. I jokingly tell people this. I always got time, right? So I always got time and I always got energy. I do. It doesn't wear me down. Because at the end of the day, every day I'm tired, that's a day I'm passing to my children. This fight. And I'm not going to do that. Come hell or high water, come some way, somehow, before I die on this earth, I am going to be the motherfucker that cripples white supremacy. I know that's a lofty statement. I know that's a lofty task. I know that's a big fucking goal. That's okay. I got big fucking goals and I got big fucking feet. So here's my thing. White people. Like, I'll give you an example. Last year when George Floyd was murdered, televised, there was a lot of white people that put the little fist on their Facebook and said, I'm an anti-racist. And I never heard these particular individuals discuss racism before. I told my wife, I said, listen, watch. More than half these motherfuckers you see right now with this I'm an anti-racist bullshit, they'll be gone in 2 weeks, a month tops. Sure enough, 4 weeks later, what do we hear them say? Rioting and looting and rioting and looting. I believe in Black Lives Matter, but rioting and looting. White America, I say to you this. If you truly understood why people are saying Black Lives Matter, then you would understand there's literally a humanitarian crisis happening in this country. And if the only thing stopping you from standing up and defending your fellow citizens against this humanitarian crisis, if the only thing that's stopping you is that Target got caught on fire, you're a piece of shit. If the only thing stopping you is somebody stole something, then you don't care. You simply don't give a fuck. Because it's convenient that we can walk the fuck away. White people don't have to care because we don't. White people say if you stop talking about racism, it goes away. Yeah, in white America, that's true. Because as long as you don't talk about race, it doesn't exist in white America.
Exactly.
So if you actually understand Black Lives Matter, if you got all these black friends you love talking about, and these black children and black everything, and all these black people you know, then you would understand this is a humanitarian crisis. And if Target catching on fire is the reason you won't get involved in a humanitarian crisis, you are an actual piece of shit.
Exactly. And like, here's my thing. You're gonna sit there and go with the narrative of, we'll take the man who shot up all those spas in Atlanta.
Yep.
He had a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
He had bad mental health. But y'all literally advocate for if you're blocking traffic,
Mm-hmm.
then you deserve to get hit by a car because we're standing in the fucking highway because our sons and daughters are getting murdered.
On the highway, too. Getting murdered on the highway.
Yes. Our sons and daughters, our brothers and sisters and siblings, they're literally dying. We're never going to see them again. They don't get to have a bad mental health day.
Nope.
Because look at what happens.
Yep.
We can't even trust the medical system.
Mm-hmm.
We can't trust the doctors. We can't trust the police. We have to do everything ourselves. But you're going to be mad because we're blocking traffic for a couple hours?
Could you imagine? I want you to imagine.
But you have nothing to say when a man killed 8 fucking people.
Of course not.
He just had a bad day and snapped.
Could you imagine the following scenario? Watch this. Could you imagine if across the country, white America got as outraged and emotional and involved for Black lives the way they do for masks? Could you imagine if white America got as outraged and involved and open as they did about a fucking scientifically factual pandemic. You see
You
what I'm
better
saying?
say that.
You see what I'm saying? Like, we know what white America looks like when white America gives a shit. So all these white people out here saying, well, I know there's racism, but, where the fuck are you? Because I can go to any school board meeting right now and find plenty of white people arguing about masks. I don't see people protesting police station arguing about murder.
But see, they do give a fuck because they're at those same school board meetings arguing critical race theory, arguing that shouldn't be taught to their children.
Correct.
Why the hell would we want? Because it makes white people look like bad guys. Guess what? Historically, y'all fucking are.
Correct.
And you're proving that it is still to this day because you're up there crying, quitting your job because you don't want your child to learn actual history.
This is what I tell all those pissed off white people.
The Daughters of Confederacy has fucking peddled.
Correct. Right. I tell all those pissed off white people this. If you want me to stop saying Black Lives Matter, make them. That's it, period. It's that simple. If you want me to stop saying Black Lives Matter, make them. Make Black Lives Matter. That's it. That's all the fuck you gotta do. That's it. And we'll go away. We'll shut the fuck up.
Exactly.
Right? If you want us to stop talking about whitewash history, unwhitewash it. That's it. Like, we've seen what white America looks like when white America's fired the fuck up. And I've never seen white America get that fired the fuck up about injustice or about equality or about equity. And until white America gets as fired up about injustice, equality, equity as they do goddamn mask, we got a fight on our hands.
Well, I just want to ask Messy Minister a question real quick. He said 400 years of trauma equals multi-generational PTSD,
Preach.
which is living every second of your life in a perpetual state of nervous alertness and anxiety.
Mm.
I have a question. Can we really call it PTSD when it's still happening? Can we?
Well,
it's not post because
Yeah.
it's still happening. I would call it CPTSD. Because there's no end date to this. We are actively working towards it, but we don't know when it's going to end. We don't know when white America is going to wake the fuck up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And with the laws that are being put in place, these are Jim Crow era laws. We don't know when it's going to end. So for me, I don't like calling it PTSD because there's nothing post about it.
So I've always referred to it as a generational trauma. I think that's what it is.
It is multi-generational trauma. Everything else I agree with. Just the PTSD because it's not over.
It's something that white people don't experience, so they don't get it, and so they blow up. Like, the plain and simple fact is, you asked me earlier, what am I doing? I'm gonna tell you something I am doing. I'm trying to get white America as fired up about equality and injustices as they are about masks. So secretly behind, not so secretly, it's like some people know what, like, it's kind of in public because I need the public's help. But I'm currently, for those of you, I'll tell a piece of it here on your podcast that I've told nobody else. But I'm currently organizing a nationwide army of white people, just so you know. Okay. I put a call out on my Instagram. You might have seen it. Looking for white people. I got a huge response. I responded to all the people who responded to me via email, and I put a questionnaire out. And based on those questions, I'm interviewing people. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a representative in all 50 states of this country. And I'm going to, whatever city that person lives in, I'm going to start in their city. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give these white people tasks. I'm going to say, hey, break down the demographics of your city. I want you to understand the demographics of your city. And then I want you to understand the demographics of your prison where you live. Then I want you to get with the local NAACP leader and find out what's the top 3 things on their agenda. Then I want you to find out the city council schedule, and I want you to be at it. And then I want you to find out what city council's doing. And then I want you to stand up and say, nah, that's not good. Let's talk about equity. So what I'm doing is I'm creating an army of white people that once I get everybody rolling in one person rolling in each state, I'm going to have them recruit people from other cities. And we're going to do the same thing in other cities. And I'm going to create this army of white people nationwide that's going to start putting power to privilege. we're going to start showing up at city council meetings. I don't know what the name's going to be yet. That's where I'm hung up at. But whatever our fucking name is, I want the rest of white America to tremble when they hear that this name is coming to your city council meeting, because we mean business and we mean equity and we mean Black Lives Matter, motherfucker. We mean trans rights and human rights, motherfucker. We mean that we're going to come in this city and we're going to stop the white supremacy and the patriarchy. And so that's what I'm currently working on.
And I think that is, I think that's a goal that all people should have.
I agree.
But I definitely think that white people need to understand that, especially white cishet men need to understand that you should be a shield. Not you're not the this isn't about you, basically.
Correct. That's the hardest part from the get, right?
Right.
It's not about you,
motherfucker.
motherfucker.
They don't like that at all.
No, they don't like that shit. Not about me. What? Everything's about me.
Right. They're so confused.
It's pretty easy to make it through life when everything's built for you.
You can say the N-word. I can say the N-word.
Oh, you can't say the N-word, God forbid. But you can get a job with your traditional white name 3 times quicker than a traditional black name. I mean, one of my closest friends for 20 fucking years. He's a black guy, but his name is Brandon. And you know what he told me? He told me this. He said, my parents told me they named me Brandon so that I would have less trouble getting jobs later in life. Like, what kind of fucking world do we live in where you gotta, like, bro, that's not right. You gotta name your child so that white supremacy won't target them.
Exactly.
That's a system that has to be brought down. That's disgusting.
Exactly.
That's gotta stop. That's not okay. That can't be okay. You know, that just gotta go away.
Yeah, unless you're Tristan, Jaden, Braden, or Caden. I mean, or like, for instance, like for me, I did not have that problem. My name's Jessica.
Right.
Throw a rock and hit a white girl named Jessica.
100%, right?
Literally, like I've never had that, but I have siblings who have more ethnic names, and or like my friend in the comments, Vanita. I mean, she's a black woman, but she's a whole light bright. She's lighter than I am,
right?
And she's white presenting because she's a Creole woman, and she even said that there's been times where she's had issues.
100% there is. You understand
because of her name.
Yeah, there was a study that was done. I think Stanford did it. It was Stanford or Harvard. I think it was Stanford, and they sent out resumes all across the country. They sent a bunch of them out. And the education and the work experience was the same on the resumes, but they changed the name. So like the certain number of resumes had traditional black names, and the certain number of resumes had traditional white names. And they had a set number of phones that would receive the callback from the potential employers. The employers don't know it's fake resumes. And literally they counted every time whoever called for whatever name person. People with traditional white names got a call back 1 out of every 5 resumes that was sent out. But the resumes with traditional black names on them got a call back 1 out of every 15 resumes that was sent out.
Right.
Think about that shit. That's the study right there. Who just put that up? Oh, that's you. Yeah, that's the study right there.
That was me. Gotcha.
Oh, was it? But that's the one.
Yeah, Emily and Greg are more employable than
Lakeisha and Jamal. That's right. That's the one. I think was it Stanford? I'm pretty sure it was Stanford.
And that even bleeds into Harvard. The housing
market. Was it Harvard? Damn.
Yeah, it was Harvard.
My gut was wrong this time.
That even bleeds into like the housing market. Like
that bleeds into everything. I used to work in the car business.
You're gonna get a lower appraisal. I'm gonna get a lower appraisal than you would, and it could be the same exact fucking house.
I used to work in the car business, and I started off as a sales person, but I worked my way up to finance. And they used to bring credit applications to me. It happened all the time. They would put it on my desk, and they would literally just say, "Can you run the credit? I got this black customer out here. I just want to run their credit before we get started. I don't want to waste too much time on them. They ain't got no credit." Literally, Oh, this happened all the fucking time. All the fucking time. And then if I ran the credit, it was a 700-800 beacon, 700-800 credit score, they would say, oh, damn, really? Like, it was surprising. And then when a white person come in with a low credit score, they're like, oh, really? Oh, my God. Like, this was typical. This was not like 1960 and 70 either, motherfuckers. This was recent. I got out of the car business. When did I get out of the car business? I was in it for a long time, by the way. Paid good money. I was in the car. So when did I get out of the car business? 2017. So even as recent as 2017, this was happening. So this was typical. Literally, as I worked my way up, I became a general sales manager. Like general sales manager, like the number 2 guy in the store. The only person above me is general manager. And later I became a general manager. But when I was a general sales manager, I worked at a store. And it was my job to hire people. And so for the first little bit, I took over the interviewing. Normally the lower managers do it, but I took it over because I wanted to hire good people and I wanted to show my other managers how I want to hire people. Mm-hmm. And I hired 20 plus sales. It was a big store, by the way. I hired 20 plus new salespeople in a period of about 4 weeks, 5 weeks. And I wasn't really paying attention to who I was hiring. I was paying attention to the type of person I was hiring, like the quality of person, the hustle and everything, what the attributes we're looking for.
Right.
And one day, very true story here, the general manager of the store came in and he said, hey, Russell, I'm looking at all the new hires. I hired a lot of people. I said, yeah, man, we got all these slots for salespeople. We got to fill them. So I want to find some good salespeople. He goes, I'm going to tell you something. I haven't had this many employees with dreadlocks in my store before. And it like fucking hit me backwards for a minute. I said, what? I literally said what like that. I said, what? And he said, 5 of the people you hired have dreadlocks. And I hadn't noticed it, honestly, because who gives a fuck?
Right.
But he was right. Like 25% of the people I hired had dreadlocks. So I looked at him, I said, okay. He goes, well, let's hope they do well. We'll see how they do. That was who he chose, was the ones under scrutiny were just because they had dreadlocks. True story.
Because they were deemed unprofessional.
Correct. No. They were deemed lazy. They were deemed fucking problems. Literally problems. Mm-hmm. And now between me and you, I didn't tell him this. See, the way it works in sales is there's an attrition rate. You lose a lot of people because it's a lot of hours, right?
Right.
And so you hire 20 people, you'll lose fucking 10 of them. So the next cycle around when I was hiring more people, oh my God. If you came in with dreadlocks, I was finding any reason I could to hire you, right? And I wish I could get some of that. There's still people I talk to from my old store. They'll tell you the joke around town was we were the dread store. Like I was hiring every motherfucker through the door and I would pull them aside. Motherfucker, you may not be cut out for sales, but today you're going to be cut out for sales. I'm going to train you to be the best salesperson I can. Because I wanted them everywhere proving this motherfucker wrong. You know what I mean? Proving him he's a piece of shit for that shit. You know what I'm saying? And, but as I grew up, that was one of my first times as a hiring manager, but I was in it even longer. As I went through different stores and as an upper level of management, I found out that was pretty common across the board. Literally. I had one guy, okay, if they're not called dreadlocks, I apologize.
Yeah,
I don't
locks.
know. Locks, okay, I apologize. But there was one store that I worked in, literally, where the manager, the general manager told me, because again, I'm the general sales manager, I'm in charge of hiring. He told me if I hire a black person, that's what he said. He didn't cut no corners. If you hire a black person, I want to see the resume and I want to hear why you're hiring them before you hire them. And here's what he said: I'm not racist. I've just had bad experiences. No, you're racist, motherfucker. Shut the fuck up. And so in the car business, that shit runs deep. From the customers to the employees, the shit runs deep.
That's everywhere.
That's everywhere.
Absolutely.
That's every fucking way. So people act like this shit don't exist. Oh, motherfucker. This shit, I got out of the car business 2017. That shit wasn't 1917.
That's 4 fucking years ago.
Yeah, that wasn't 1917.
Right.
ADHD moment.
Yes. I have a lot of them lately.
I have them all the time. That's why I can relate. That's like me. That's me 24/7.
I drank a lot back in the day, so
Right. I drink a lot now, so I can relate.
It's gone. It's gone.
Right.
So you're not just an advocate for Black lives. You are also an advocate for women's rights, for trans rights.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you know of any like resources or books that would be beneficial for people to understand any of these communities or fight properly for any of these communities?
So like
you as a white person,
right,
being the person outside looking in,
right.
Do you have any book recommendations, any articles?
As it pertains to trans rights and LGBTQIA plus rights and that stuff, I really don't. I really haven't even read books on that. As it pertains to racism, and it's interesting you said what you just said. Hey, you're not just an advocate for this. A lot of people do get the impression that I just advocate for Black lives and I just advocate for anti-racism, because the truth is that's what I'm the most vocal on, and the truth is that's what I talk the most about. But the truth is that's what I have the most experience with, right? Growing up in a racist household, growing up in a town that was predominantly white and Black and very segregated and very racist. And also for 22 years, going on 25 years, I've been having the same conversation. I keep saying 22, it's more than that. I never changed the number. but for almost 25 years, I've been having the same conversation. So yeah, you're damn right. That's what I'm most vocal about. And I think that's okay, right? Because if this is the fight I'm in, that's good. There's many people in every fight. So as it pertains to race, I have white people ask me all the time, what's some book recommendations? I always tell them this. No. Start with The New Jim Crow. It's literally one of the most powerful books out there that really does a good job of encompassing. It doesn't target just one thing. It really encompasses the whole system. What is the 13th Amendment? What is mass incarceration? How is that used to then trickle down to other aspects? How did the war on drugs target Black men and disrupt the Black household? And how does voter count translate to prison location? And The New Jim Crow talks about all that. It's a really good book. So like, if you're a white person listening to this and you haven't read The New Jim Crow, read it. I'll tell you what book I'm reading right now. I should have been done with it, but I got sidetracked and started reading another book, and now I got to go back. That's the ADHD, right? But
I feel that so much.
My man D.L. Hughley just wrote a book called How to Survive America. Really fucking good book. Oh man, I got it somewhere around me because I'm reading it right now. Oh, it's in my backpack. Fuck. But it's a really good book. If you haven't read that, I mean, if you haven't even.
Could you give those book titles again? My monitors kind of went out for a second. I want to plug them into the comment section so people can check in the book listing.
Number one, The New Jim Crow, really good book. That's where all white people should start. You can go from there. I can list 1,000 books, but just go from there. The New Jim Crow is a good book. And then the new book by D.L. Hughley, How to Survive America, is a really good book. D.L., if you listen, what I like the most, if you listen to D.L. talk about why he wrote that book, last year during the pandemic, the news was coming out that the demographic that was being the hardest hit by the pandemic was unsurprisingly Black and brown America. And unsurprisingly, that's the historical context. Black people historically have are hit the hardest by medical issues and have the least medical care and the least amount of medical insurance, and are taken less seriously by medical personnel. That's called medical, apartheid. And so DL was basically saying, as the pandemic ran through America and he watched Black America die disproportionately to it, he was like, man, it's hard just to be Black and survive America. And so he wrote this book, How to Survive America. Man, I'm about halfway through it right now. I could have been done if I didn't fucking get sidetracked. Great book. So if you haven't read it, read it. It's a fucking great book. Really,
I'm gonna have to read that one. I didn't even know he had a book, to be honest.
Where's his? Yeah,
he got a couple of books.
Correct. He's got a couple books. Yeah.
He's got one.
After the sitcom, to me, he just fell off the face of the earth.
He's really active in the movement, and not to name drop or be cool or nothing, but like we talk to each other. Like that's the reason I knew about his book, right? He called me Red.
Really?
All right, Red. He called me Red. He's
I need an interview. I'm sorry, we're going back to dark.
That's a little harder to come by. He's a little more selective than most folks, right? But he's cool. He's really down to earth people. Like DL don't come off like no, like I'm a celebrity, I'm better than you. He's really in this movement. He really believes, like, in crumbling white supremacy, and he believes we need everybody in the fight, and he's really well spoken on it. That's what I'll give him to. Really well spoken on it. So
there's another book I recommend. I actually read by D.L. Hewley. It's "Surrender White People" by D.L. Hewley and Doug Moe. That's definitely a good one.
That's the other. I haven't read that. Don't tell D.L., but I haven't read that.
Ooh, you on the internet and how to. Oh, another one is how not to get shot and other advice from white people. That is kind of satire purposes, but it's definitely insightful in some ways for sure.
Is that DL too?
Oh yeah,
I didn't know about that.
I'm on it.
I knew Surrender White People. I knew that one.
Admitting that you're not that great of a friend.
Well, I wouldn't say friend. That would be overstepping it. But I just say we talk to each other. I don't want to say we're friends. Like, I'm not a bad way, but like,
yeah,
I don't want to try to be cool. Like, oh yeah, I'm DL's friend. Nah, he don't know. He's cool with me and talks to me. But I look up to DL a lot because I really think that he, at his place and his stature in society, he could just say fuck all this shit, but he don't. Mm-hmm. He stay in the trenches, man, and I like that. He's got a podcast. Bro, if you're not following DL, follow him. Like he's in the trenches with his shit. So
I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, he really is.
So, I always do this on my podcast, just because I know conversations can kind of get a little heavy sometimes, or they can just kind of be tiresome. And I know that you said that you'll never be tired, but on a scale from 1 to 10, where is your mental health at right now? 1 being I fucking hate everything, mm-hmm. and 10 being I'm fucking amazing. Mm-hmm. Nothing can touch me. Where are you at?
I mean, I struggle personally with some PTSD and anxiety issues I have from being in combat. I did go to Iraq and Afghanistan. That's not something I'm proud of, not something I fucking boast about, because I don't believe that America should have ever been in Iraq or Afghanistan. But at the time, you're a 20-year-old, drink the Kool-Aid, you go, right? Mm-hmm. But I suffer a lot from that, like a lot, just because of the shit they had me do. So I have my moments, right, where but I will say this. I'm kind of built a certain way, and I guess I'm fortunate in that aspect, where I'm kind of always upbeat and positive, and I find ways to be like, fuck it. So I'd say like 90% of the time I'm a 10, because I am pretty badass, and I like to see myself as that way. But I have my moments where I dip down to a 4 or 5, right? But I do see hope, and I see an outcome. I see light at the end of the tunnel. And I don't mean that as in I don't want to call it progress. I like the way Malcolm put it. Malcolm said, if you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 3, is that progress? No, there's no progress. The knife is all the way fucking out. And so I hate the word progress. Yeah, we've made progress. But until white supremacy is dead and gone, until the patriarchy is defeated, until basic fucking human decency extends to all humans, until all lives actually really do matter, until then, we're not done. But I do see light in the tunnel. I think Gen Z is amazing. I really do. I think Gen Z is a lot of hope. And I think that white supremacy has an expiration date. And I really think it can happen in my lifetime. So I stay motivated. I stay at 10 on that reason, because, you can't let the hate bring you down. I let the hate fuel me, baby. I love it. Hate me. I love it.
Keep them coming. Keep the haters coming. Hey. So I know you're not expecting this question.
Do you mind if I take like a 2-minute break before you ask me?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Because 4 beers in, woo, your boy got a pee. Sorry.
Go right here.
So possibly again.
While we are waiting, does anybody have any questions for Jolly? And let's put this right here up on screen. Locks is a natural hairstyle that has historically been worn across several civilizations and cultures, according to Tharps. I hope I said that right. The modern understanding of dreadlocks is that the British, who were fighting Kenyan warriors during colonialism in the late 19th century, came across the warriors' locks and found them dreadful, thus coining the term dreadlocks. Personally, I refer to my hairstyle as locks, having dropped dread altogether given its negative connotation. Although many may not know the term's dark history, the hairstyle remains widely contentious in America 2 centuries later. Facts.
Courtesy of the messy minister. He couldn't.
Courtesy of what?
Courtesy of the messy minister. He couldn't get it to fit from his YouTube phone, so I used it from OBS. But it's up
okay.
There. Gotcha. When
Thank you, messy minister. Thank you. And I definitely get that. I call them locks. That's something I'm new to learning, because anybody that's been watching knows that I grew up in a racist household. Not directly with my parents, but with my extended family, like my grandmother, my aunts and uncles, cousins. Racist as shit. So yes, Black Girl Warrior, 4 beers. You know this is not your safe zone. And sometimes you just need a damn drink.
If I waited one more minute, well, it was gonna be
it was gonna be a bad night. It might have dipped to a flow.
I've actually never heard anybody talk about the term dreadlock before, so I thought it was interesting that that was brought up here. I've never heard anybody really talk about that before, and I've never really thought about the term dread. That makes a lot of sense when you put it that way. And I've just never really thought about it before. So that's interesting, and I'm glad that I was part of that conversation. Because now, like, I've always called them dreadlocks, so now I'm like, okay, well, I gotta stop saying that, because it makes a lot of sense the way you're explaining it. Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, like it's and that's what a lot of people don't realize is it's things like that have been like, that's just what they've been called.
Definitely stigmatized.
Not realizing the stigmatization that comes along with it. So yeah, I'm glad that
I think it's cool too that
went ahead and typed all that out.
If we actually got people to say locks, here's what's unique about that. Like, just thinking off the top of my head, what's cool about that is dreadlocks are stigmatized. Like, I just told you a story about how the general manager didn't like it, and that's very normal. So if you call them locks, it's a whole other word of sorts, and it's without the stigmatism. So it's a way for people to relate to something without all the negativity that's tied to it. So that's kind of a smart way to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I personally say that Black people have locks and white people have dreadlocks, because when they do that shit, they look like Grinch fingers, and it looks dreadful.
They look like what?
It looks so bad.
It looks like what, though? You say French fingers?
Grinch fingers.
Grinch fingers. Oh.
Grinch fingers.
Funny.
Like,
I got y'all. Hold on. Look at this. Yeah. That's what that joint look like.
Yeah.
That's pretty accurate.
Yep.
What on earth is that? Like, no, not at all. Nah, that's not us. Life began with us, but we don't claim that. That's dead.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's what I say. But yeah, so here, back to the question that I know damn well you were not expecting. Who's your favorite Powerpuff Girl?
Powerpuff? I don't know a single
Powerpuff Girl. Blossom, Bubbles, or Buttercup?
I apologize. I don't know anything about Powerpuff Girls.
How?
I apologize.
But he's got a black cat, so I guess he's all right.
So one thing I'll tell you, that's Bob. I love Bob. So one thing I'll tell you about me. So we grew up exceptionally poor. And so I didn't watch TV. Like, we didn't have a TV like in a room or something. So I didn't watch TV growing up. when I joined the army and I was traveling the world, I didn't watch TV. I was always out and about. I guess because that's maybe the way I grew up. I just wasn't used to being a homebody. And the only time I've ever really watched TV was during like deployments to Iraq or Afghanistan or the field exercises when you're stuck in a tent and nothing to do. I used to watch like I binge watch like TV episodes that we downloaded to hard drives. You know what I mean? Not TV episodes, TV seasons of TV shows. And even that I haven't watched that much. Like I'm the worst person. I'm really a smart guy and I have a lot of intelligence. So my friends often invite me to like trivia nights and stuff like that. And every single time at trivia night, pop culture comes up. Like I'm not your guy. We're fucked.
You
you gotta get somebody
carry me. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I promise you. Like it's not an area. Even now, like right now, I don't watch TV. Like it's not a thing I do.
But you did say that you used to play with
Ninja Turtles.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle doll figures. So do you have a favorite TMNT?
No, I guess I don't. I don't know.
That makes me sad.
I'm sorry. I wish I had an exciting answer for you, but I don't. You're right. I didn't expect that question.
Come on, bro.
And I've never been asked.
No, I'm gonna give one to you. I see Raphael all.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The one with the red.
What's funny was when my son was 5, he got into the new. They got a new animated version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I bought him. At the time, I was a general manager of this car lot, and I was allowed to get whatever car I wanted off the lot. So I used to get one that had a DVD player in it, so he could watch DVDs. And I bought the new season of Teenage Mutant Turtles on the DVD. It's like 5 or 6 DVDs or whatever. Man, he watched the piss out of that. You know what I mean? And so one thing I did learn from I never watched it, but I could hear it behind me. Was kind of their personalities. And Raphael was kind of the party guy.
He was what?
Kind of like the guy. He was like the part.
Okay, so Raph was definitely abrasive, but
yeah, that's true too. Yeah,
Raph was a real one.
Right, I'll give you that.
That's a good point. He was the type that would jump in head first.
Right, he did. And Leonardo was like the fucking leader, the thinker, and then Michelangelo was like the brains of the operation, right?
No. You got it all. I'm sorry, I had to unmute myself.
He was a stoner.
Is it not right?
No, I'm sorry, I had to unmute myself. So Leo was the leader, Raph was like second in command, Donatello was the brains, and Michelangelo was.
Oh, Donatello was the brains. Yeah. Michelangelo was like the hey dude.
I read the comic book. I'm sorry.
Right. That's what I'm telling you. I suck at pop culture. Like it's not my shit. Like I suck at it. Like there was one time.
You were almost our best friend. I
know. I'm sorry. I'll tell you one funny story. One time, it's a funny story, but like, what's his name? I forgot. See, I suck at actors and actresses and famous people. But there was a commercial that came on, and it was a black guy on the commercial, and I was like, oh, that's so and so. And they were like, no, dude, what the fuck? That's this other guy. And I was like, damn, really? And they were like, what you think all black people look alike? You know, they hit me with that right away, right? I was like, nah, man, my bad. I'm not good with famous people. And then like a couple weeks ago, by the same people, we was in the army, so you're always around the same people.
Right.
This movie was on. They were watching. We have day rooms in the barracks where everybody goes and hangs out. This movie was on. I was like, man, I didn't even fucking know. Like, whatever. Brad Pitt was in this movie or whatever. And the whole room looked at me like, bro, that's not fucking Brad Pitt. It's like Leonardo DiCaprio or whatever it was. I was like, really? And then they realized, like, oh, really? Fuck, this guy, he really doesn't know anybody. I don't. Like, I suck. Like, I could walk up on a famous person right now. I might know they're famous because I've seen their face before, but I'm going to avoid saying their name at all costs because I will fuck it up.
Is it like, hey, can I get a picture? And then you go ahead and you text the picture to your wife, like, who this motherfucker?
100%. That's me. I'm just not like, I've always been like, I like reading nonfiction books. Like I watch the news. I don't know. It's like me. I'm not an entertainment person.
Okay, so it's all documentaries and
fucking dude. I'll watch documentaries. I'll watch those shits till the sun comes up. I love those motherfuckers.
Oh, okay.
I love documentaries, bro. I love that shit.
Have you watched Judas and the Black Messiah? It's not a documentary.
No. I just heard about that like yesterday or some shit.
You gotta watch it.
Yeah. Who told me about that?
That one is amazing.
Yeah, I forgot who told me about it.
It covers Fred Hampton's story.
Yes, and Fred Hampton Jr. was in Kenosha with us a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
I'm mad I didn't meet you sooner. I'm mad as fuck now.
Well, fucking Fred Hampton Jr. and Jacob Blake, they're like people.
Really?
Yo, hold on. Hey, watch this. I'm gonna do a special for your podcast. If he answered the phone.
Stop playing.
Let's see if he answered the phone.
No way.
No, I'm not calling Fred Hampton. I don't got Fred Hampton Jr. number like that.
Man, I'm showing up on camera for this. Hold on real quick.
No, I'm not.
Is this okay? Wait, is this okay, Jess?
My brother. What's up, Mr. Blake?
What's happening, baby?
Look, so I'm on this podcast right now, okay? And I know you can't hear them, but they can hear you. And they asked me, they said, what's the best way to defeat white supremacy? So I had to call you because I quoted you, brother. I said the revolution is now.
Right.
I told him that until we get together. And I told everybody, I tell everybody about your work, Mr. Blake. Bringing everybody together, creating a fucking solidarity and unity. So I wanted to give you a second to tell your piece how we're going to defeat this thing.
Well, the only way we defeat racism is head on.
Preach.
We cannot count on others to fight for us. We must fight for ourselves. We must step up to the plate like the home run hitters that we are and knock the ball out of the park.
What happens when we get tired, Mr. Blake? What happens when we get tired?
When we get tired, I lift you up.
I love that.
When I get tired, you lift me up.
Woo!
We don't have time to get tired.
Say that again, sir.
Around with enough. We've been emotionally turmoiled enough to be able to say this is it.
They don't understand. That's right, and they don't understand. Like, you know what? Here's what made me. Here's what reminded me to go ahead and call you. They was talking about Fred Hampton's story. I said, man, look, this fight, this is a unit. I said, Fred Hampton Jr. was just hugging Jacob Blake's neck 2 weeks ago. They said, no way. I said, yeah, this fight's still going on. This fight
has been going on for 400 years, man.
That part.
400 years. And other people have gone through systematic racism, systemic racism on a continuous level.
Continuous.
How can we not be mentally affected?
That's right.
How can my people not be mentally affected?
And we're gonna come together. That's
unity. Charlie, you already know, brother.
Yes, sir.
I tell people every day, brother, you're my goddamn brother, man.
Yes, sir.
When I sit with you and I talk to you just like you're my brother, man.
Yes, sir.
We are comfortable together and we go out together fighting the same battle.
Yes, sir.
When you show that type of unity and you understand your purpose, you refuse to let anyone take you off of your purpose. Lead you off of the line that you're on.
Yes, sir.
This is a revolution.
A revolution, baby.
And blood will be shed, and it already has.
That's right. That's right. And
you cannot fear. If you fear to fight in this revolution, that's okay. Stay on the porch.
You better say that, sir.
Say that again.
Yeah.
coming off the porch.
You got everybody hyped up on the podcast. I know you can't hear him, but the podcast just got hyped when you
Man,
said
we'll have
that.
to get it. We'll have to get him up in here one day. Shoot.
Literally.
We're gonna be ready for it, man.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's okay.
Like we say, that's okay. That's okay.
Don't worry about what they're not ready for. I'm ready to die for this.
Yes, sir.
That part.
I sat with Charlie and told him I may not make it.
He sure as hell too did.
To the end of this.
He sure as hell did.
I may leave here before it happens, but goddammit, I'm not gonna stop fighting until it happens.
Boy, I love you, Mr. Blake. I love you, brother. Woo.
No question, Charlie. Ain't no question that I love you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Woo, you got me. Now you got me hyped up in the middle of the fucking night.
Want to support us in what we're trying to do? VFamilyUnited.com.
Yep.
FamiliesUnited.com. We need your help.
Absolutely. I'll make sure we drop the link on that shit too once I get off here. Yes, sir.
Matter of fact, can you have him say it one more time? I can drop it in.
FamiliesUnited.com.
Even the motherfuckers that hate me, guess what? I love you. Because this battle's gonna be won with love, not hate.
I love it.
The love, baby.
We're gonna win this battle with love. You understand me?
Yes, sir.
Amen.
I'm driving back from St. Louis because I drove to St. Louis to be with a family in their hour of need when they're sending one of their loved ones off.
Wow. He never quit.
That's what we do, man.
Mr. Blake never
I
quit.
just got back from DC. I'm tired. I'm so tired. I don't even know where I am.
Boy, you never quit, do you? That's why I love you. You never
We
quit.
can't, Charlie, we can't stop, baby.
No, sir. You're right. Yes, sir.
There's no stop. There is
That's right.
no stop.
Yes, sir.
And if you don't believe us, call me tomorrow.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, you'll be halfway to somewhere else, right?
Right.
Yes,
Call me
sir.
tomorrow.
Call me tomorrow.
Thursday. I'll be on my way to Philadelphia.
Hey, I'm gonna come to Philadelphia and meet y'all, by the way.
Hey, man,
Man, don't play with me.
Anywhere I go, you can go.
Yes, sir. Amen.
You understand me?
Yes, sir.
Anywhere you can go, I can go.
Every time.
We going together, and they can't whoop both of us.
No, they can't whip us both. And you know what? That's what scares them the most. The solidarity.
Hey, solidarity, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
can
sir.
kill a revolutionary, but you can't kill a revolution.
Father,
Yes, sir.
Fred Senior,
Yes, sir.
because he started feeding
Mm-hmm.
young people. Do you know that the Black Panthers are the reason why WIC exists?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
WIC was made up because of their blueprint.
That's right. Free lunch.
Free lunch and breakfast.
Yes.
Every morning. Because that's a staple for a child. We're not out here for ourselves. We're out here for our grandchildren. For
Absolutely.
the next generation.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I refuse to lose.
Refusal.
Sign up to be on my squad. We ain't even talking about losing.
Don't know how.
I don't know how to do it.
Don't know how.
I'm with my sister right now, and she's in the amen corner.
That's Bianca with you.
No, that's my sister.
Oh, your sister. Okay, I got you.
Right, you met her. Yeah, you met her.
Yeah, I
You
met her. Yeah.
Charlie.
Yeah. Tell her I said hello.
Johnny said hello to me. She said, hey. And you let everybody know on the podcast, man, that I don't sleep at night. I just rest.
He really don't. When I ring, listen, I'm gonna tell you something. When I ring Mr. Blake's phone, literally, it's always, "What's up, brother?" It don't matter what time it is, he answers. This man does not quit, does not sleep. He might close his eyes a couple minutes, but he don't sleep. I'm telling you.
So
Better say that.
We all have to have that drive, baby.
Amen. Amen.
We all have to have that drive, and we have to understand the importance of you are your brother's keeper.
100%.
I don't care what color your brother is, if he's purple, green, blue, you are your brother's keeper.
Yes.
And it is your responsibility to keep your brothers back.
Yes, sir.
And if we all understand how important it is to stand together, then we'll always be together.
Woo!
That part.
I'm telling y'all, this man keep me hyped up on 24/7.
Look.
I'm telling you, you hear him,
He need to come to Milwaukee. They need some hyping
Mr.
up.
Blake. I really appreciate you taking my call, sir.
Hey man, Johnny, I asked you at 2 o'clock in the morning.
I know that's true. Yes, sir.
I don't care what time it is because I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna answer it.
Hey, we might have to roll out early, right?
Yeah, we might have to get up early. I got my boots right by the bed.
Hey, well, be safe. Where you driving back to? You driving back to Chicago?
I'm going back to Chicago right now. My daughter broke the water.
Oh, Lord.
I'm welcoming a new grandchild into
Oh,
the
God bless you. Oh, yes.
So my granddaughter should be here by the time I reach the state.
You know, please tell her that Jolly said congratulations and sends his love.
Most definitely.
Yes, sir.
You're her brother, man. So she's going to,
Yeah, please let her know. I might even call you tomorrow just so I can tell congratulations myself.
Okay.
Everybody on the podcast says congratulations.
Everybody on the podcast said congratulations too as well, sir.
Thank you so much.
All right, brother. Hey, drive safe.
Yes, sir.
All right now. That's fuck. That guy will keep you
Damn.
going. He will keep you going.
Yes.
Whew.
It's 10:45 where I'm at, and I'm just like,
He don't give a fuck.
I need to go march. I need to get in these streets.
Because listen, like, even when we go out to eat, it'll be like, different families and whatnot. But Jacob Blake Sr. sitting right at the head of the table. And like that's the conversation. The conversation is the revolution. The conversation is solidarity. The conversation is the unity. And that's what I want to be around.
Yes.
I don't want to be around we're taking a motherfucking break. We're not taking a break. Revolution don't take breaks. The fight against white supremacy don't take breaks.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, this is Labor Day weekend. I'm waking up early tomorrow. I'm going to a fucking protest in the middle of Trumpville where they don't want me. Okay. And that man right there, Jacob Blake, called me. Hey, Jolly, I just saw you was going to Trump. Let me know how that shit goes if I got to bring the army in. He told me.
Literally, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because that's how the fuck we roll. And so that's what I go back to the question earlier. You say, how do we defeat white supremacy? You heard the man himself. And he's good friends with Fred Hampton Jr. If we don't do this like this, right? If we don't do this as a single solitary unit, that's why I got so aggravated last week in D.C. when there's 3 different fucking marches.
Yeah.
If we don't do this as a single solitary unit, what the fuck are we doing?
We're not doing shit.
That's what I'm saying. We're going to lose. What we're doing is going to lose. We can't lose. We can't fucking lose. Hey, but what he was talking about, that website, Families United, that's a place where you can go. So Jacob Blake Sr. and Bianca Oster. Bianca is Breonna Taylor's auntie, okay? They got together, and they brought the Blake family and the Taylor family together. And then what they did was they started going around, like you just heard, he's in St. Louis. They started going around and connecting with other families that of victims of police brutality.
Okay.
And Mr. Blake basically told everybody, look, we got to come together like this. That's how the fuck we got to come together. And they've done a really amazing job. The family of Philando Castile, Dante Wright, Ahmaud Arbery. I've met all of them. I met all of them by way of Jacob Blake and the Families United. And so that's what they do. They literally unite families in a single solitary fight against ending police brutality. And it's amazing work that they're doing. Well, that's also expensive work that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Blake travels the country. Miss Austin travels the country on their own dime and their own car and their own gas. They don't fly nowhere. And it's expensive. So they have a website. And let me get the name of the website for you. Let me look it up. Because anybody listening to this podcast or the recorded version, if you want to help them, when I encourage you to do so, because what they're doing is a pretty important work.
I agree.
Oh, let me go to the website here. How do I see the website name? Copy link. Let me put it into some. Shit, it's longer than I thought. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I wish I could type in the comments. I'd do it. I'm going to email it to you real quick.
Okay.
because this right here, any donation goes straight to Mr. Blake and Miss Austin. It technically goes to Miss Austin, but it goes straight to what they're doing, which is uniting families. And to me, like that's a really strong voice to have. Is these families united? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And with the work they're doing, and you hear him when he talks. He's fired up 24/7. I called this man randomly. He's already on level 10.
That's the way we need to be.
Yes. And if you're not that way around Mr. Blake, don't go around him because he'll kick you out. You got to be fired up.
If you ain't a real one, he don't want you there.
Oh God, he don't got time for it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Anyway, so I just emailed you the link though.
Okay. And I will be sure to put it in the
maybe the description or something.
Yeah, into the description and into the comments. So wow, that was amazing. Never had anything that awesome happen on my podcast.
That's a good way to end the podcast, ain't it?
That is a perfect way to end the podcast. So, how did you feel about this conversation?
I loved it. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna tell everybody listening the same thing I told you. I get podcast requests all the time. I don't accept all of them. But I ran into you out in DC doing the work, putting your feet on the street. And if I see somebody with their feet on the street, say, hey, will you join us? Yes. And so that's why I'm here. I appreciate you putting the work in. I appreciate you putting your feet on the street. I appreciate you being about the movement. And I appreciate you having me here. I'm humbled to be here. I'm glad you asked me. And I love the conversation.
I appreciate you 110% being here. I think that this whole conversation was very educational, very fruitful. Okay, I asked you scale 1 to 10. I'm sorry. I'm fangirling over here for a second. So
Good.
I'm like, oh my God. Yes. Like, I'm like, okay. So Minneapolis.
Right.
But so, okay. So this is something that I ask everybody who comes on my podcast. It could be about any topic at all, but one person who is one person that you would like to see on this podcast, but there's a catch. You got to be able to help make it happen.
Mr. Blake. That's easy.
Oh, I would love it. I would love it so damn much.
I'll talk to. I'll see what he's talking about. It's up to
I
him.
appreciate it. So I'm gonna say goodnight to the folks. Stick around for a little bit. After we go, after we end the live, just kind of like shoot the shit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But everybody who is watching, thank you so much for coming out. And I forgot. Oh, we are going to put the link in the description box of the websites that we have gotten from Jolly tonight. Make sure you go ahead and you donate. If you can't put your feet on the ground and show up to these protests, try to do something. Even if it's starting something in your own community, do something. That is what I want y'all to get from this episode.
Agreed.
Do something.
Agreed.
Don't just talk about it, be about it. Everybody have a good night. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, everybody. I see the nice comments. I appreciate that. Black Girl Warrior, AJ Ford, everybody else, Messy Minister. Thank you guys. I appreciate the love.
Yes. Everybody, good night. I love you. And remember, don't be a dick.